Hi everyone, today we are here to talk about task cards, specifically in the secondary math classroom, but this video could be used for anyone, any age. It's just really helpful for teachers to know what they are, some ideas for use with students, some ideas for storing them, and just some examples of how great they are and how they can be used in any classroom, but I will be using them as a secondary math teacher, so you can kind of get an example. So first of all, what are task cards? So originally I first heard about them from another teacher in Washington State. I'm in Arkansas, and she's the first one I heard about using them or even making them. Rachel Lynette is her name, and I think she's the first one, but she may credit someone else for the idea. But basically, what they are, let me pull up my notes over here. Why did this go away? There they are. A set of cards that have a question, a problem, like a math problem, or some sort of like task for a student to do, like one idea or like problem per card. And they usually come as a PDF, usually 4 to a page that you like print, laminate, cut, and you can use multiple times in different ways. So how can you use them? I personally love to get students up and moving, and so I usually just just take a piece of tape and like hang them around the room, and then let the kid I print each student a copy of like the answer sheet, the recording sheet, and they get a clipboard, or if they don't want to go get a clipboard, they use a book or just the wall, and they walk around the room kind of like a gallery walk and answer each of the problems or tasks or questions that they're asked to do. This is better than like a math worksheet because movement makes their brains work better, and usually they're working collaboratively, and so that automatically makes them work better when they're on task. But I try to set them up for success so that there are systems and incentives along the way for them to actually do the work as opposed to getting off task with friends. Another way that you could use them is if movement is not going to work with your students or a certain day or any certain class period, having each of the students sit in their seats, and you distribute each student gets a card, and you set a timer or whatever, and each student works out their card, and then at a certain given time everybody passes to, say, the left, and so everybody gets a new card and they work on it. An old Kagan strategy that I've got a funky hair. An old Kagan strategy that I love is quiz trade, and if you've not used it, it's great for a lot of situations, but task cards are set up well for this. Is where students stand up, they each get a card, and they walk around the room, like if you play a song or timer or some sort of transition music or whatever that you have, and then you stop it, and then they pair up with whoever they're next to, and they quiz, like one student quizzes the other one, and they answer it, and then the other student quizzes the first student on it, and they answer it, and they record their answers, and then they trade cards, and so then you start it all over again, and they walk around the room. This usually works better for answers that are either opinions or more like recall facts rather than something that's like a long involved workout type of problem. But quiz trade is a super effective strategy for student engagement because everyone is engaged at all times. Yeah, but just better than a worksheet. Working independently can be boring and repetitive. And so this breaks up the monotony of like, especially in a math class where students are just like, they have to do the work to like learn it. And yeah, they can often feel kind of worn down by that. So test cards. So that's kind of some ways to use them, why they're good, yeah, what they are. And I'm going to show you some examples, but before I do, I'm going to show you like how I store them. I print mine. Like I said, I cut and laminate. I laminate and cut. So these like, it's so big. Photo boxes are great. I think I got mine from Amazon. I'm pretty sure Hobby Lobby usually has them. Michael's usually has them. You can get good deals on them too. I think at most I've ever seen them is $30, but I don't think you should spend that. I think you can get a deal on them. But here is what this one looks like. Obviously upside down. I tape a manila envelope to mine and put all of the like my answer keys in it so that when I pull out a set and have them do it, I don't have to go back to the file and find the answer key to check their work. So it's just there with it. I can just print everything once. So inside, this is great. They come like in little boxes. I don't know, this one has 16 in it. I have more sets of task cards, but these are just the ones that are printed for this box. I just create like a little, it used to be a Post-it, and then I printed these one day, like in the summer, whenever I was feeling fancy. It does help to have this, but the most helpful thing is, you can kind of see, let me get up to the camera without a glare, is on the inside, I print just like a small label, because when they are in here, you can't see this part. You can only see the edge. And so having those labels on the edge make it easy to know which one to grab and go. So, so here's an example of like a set that I made years ago, right triangle trig. And let's see here, here's another one. These are the geometry ones that I made. I don't have any middle school math ones printed, but I'm going to show you some examples in a second. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. Okay, so that is kind of a storage idea, because before I used that, I would print, and then I tried putting them in a manila envelope, and it was just bulky, and like in my file cabinet, it was just, they were just bulky. And then I just tried like rubber bands, and or like, I think one of these has an old set that I used to, binder clips, like, and then putting them in, I don't know, it was just a mess. I honestly, like, because they're not paper sized, every time I tried to like stack them or put them in a bin, like like those kinds of bins over there in my shelf. And then I had like all of them in there, and just going to find them was just, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't quick to find. And as a teacher, like I'm always looking for ways to make everything more efficient, because I don't have time for that. So that's the best method that I've found for storing task cards. Okay, so let's see some. Let me shrink my face. This is an example of volume. I have a volume set for middle school and a volume set for geometry. This one is a middle school volume, and it has some more basic shapes, or it has like on this one, like already the base value given. So whenever you're finding like volume of a prism, and you have the area of the base already, it is pretty basic. And so these are some examples and some word problems. So this is kind of what a task card looks like. Like I said, 4 to a page, and then you can print them, and yeah, the students, walk around and answer these, and some don't take long at all, and some are a little more involved. Here's an example of a student answer sheet, and then the key for the teacher. That is it. Actually, that's not it. Always on the second page of a file, I always give a digital version. Honestly, I started doing it during COVID, but then in the classroom, it was like, why did it take me so long to think of this? Because one of the difficulties of task cards in the classroom, in any activity that involves like being in the classroom, you'll find this. But if a student is absent, how do they make up that practice? Because you can't send home your set of task cards with one student because there may be 3 or 8 absent that day. And so I always had a difficult time, like, how do I have them make the work up if I needed them to make it up? And the digital version is super great and helpful for that, because you can assign it. It doesn't give the same benefit because you have to adjust it slightly. Like, for example, these are open-ended, and on most of my Google Forms, they are self-checking, and so they always will make a copy. And so they will be like multiple choice, or if they're easily fill in the blank, that, like I try to make them checkable, like self-checking. And so you can see that these all have, so it's not an exact like replacement activity, but it is super efficient for replacing when a student is absent, because how do you even make that up? Okay, so there is a middle school volume. I'm going to show you a couple more. This is middle school fractions, and so I had 7th graders in mind when I was making these. I know that fractions can be used in a lot of grades, and so these are all word problems, application of operations with fractions. And I know that word problems are hard to, good word problems are hard to come by. So hopefully you would enjoy those. Again, the student answer recording sheet, and then the key. And again, a link to the digital version. Here are some high school geometry ones. These are the ones that I had printed that I pulled out. And then here is one that is a good one to show like a variation of the digital version, because this one is a drag and drop, which is more unique. This one is for 2-column proofs, like intro cards, and I don't need that. So for example, like it says drag the statements to complete the proof, and so you're given your first statement, you're asked to prove this statement, you're given your image, and then you're given basically a 2-column proof that's partially filled in. And so let's see, measure of ABD is equal to measure of angle EBC. So like you would literally, like the students would take and drag and drop it into the spot, and then that's given. And then this measure of angle DBE is equal to measure of angle DBE. That is a reflexive property, and so they drag and drop. Now, one like this is not self-checking because this is in Google Slides so that they can make it more interactive. But most of them are self-checking, but I wanted to show you an example of like another type of the digital task cards. These can be printed. These look like this, printed, and the students actually like write in the missing statements, and then digitally, like you saw, it's drag and drop. So like measure of angle, APD, TPE, that's an addition. Angle addition, we'll just quickly fill this out. And then this one is angle addition, so that one's this one. And then my proof statement, I'm all the way down there. And that last reason I can make that jump is by substitution. So that is kind of task cards in a nutshell, and some examples of how you can use them in your math class or any class for any grade, any content, honestly. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, like and subscribe. And I will also link my middle school math task cards and my geometry task cards down below in case you're interested, or go have fun and make your own. Yeah, thanks.